Crossed Up coming to you with another video. I wanted to send a shout out to Eshon Burgandy because he was cool enough to leave a comment on my last reaction video with his new song Street Dreams from his album Joppa. When people show love to me, I like to show love back, so I'm going to do another reaction to a different song off the album, which I've already heard and I really enjoyed. I thought that it came from a really unique perspective. It's called I Felt That, featuring Derek Minor. Now, I know politically I'm not super in line with Derek Minor and stuff, but he's fantastic. He actually partially writ my favorite Christian hip-hop song of all time, which is Undefeated. That's my favorite song, Christian hip-hop of all time. I love it. So I really enjoyed Derek Minor's music. Like I said, I just don't think that we agree politically on a lot, but that's fine. My politics doesn't necessarily divide my love for my Christian brothers and sisters, regardless of that, line that you can cross or whatever. That doesn't matter to me. If you're a believer in Christ and you show it and you walk your faith out, I'm going to love you regardless of what we believe politically. That's nonsense to not love each other because of that. But let's get right into the song. It's called I Felt That. Like I said, shout out to Eshon. That was really cool of you to do, man.
All glory to the Most High God. Yeah. When David told Saul I could have killed you, but I respect you as my king, I felt that. When Daniel said it's not me, but it's God who interprets these dreams, I felt that. And when the Hebrew boys said we serving God, whether we live or we die, I felt that. And when Christ looked toward the Most High, said forgive them because they blind, I felt that. Yeah.
I love that first hook. That first hook is awesome because he points out biblically, really distinct moments in the Bible that are very identifiable. I like the really first one when basically Saul was in David's hand and he basically decided not to kill him and then brought it up later on. That was a really cool bar to kind of bring that up and to say he felt that like he's been in that position. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Approaching taboo subjects at the risk of seeming insensitive and suspect. Dodging the full blitz of those robbing the pool pitch. Hundreds of years of them never making it clear they appear racially biased when we all should be united. In the church, the human race gets interpreted in its truest state. There is no debate for Galatians 3:28. This feel like provocation. I know that shit from observation. That's kind of how I feel when it comes to these denominations. The gospel is distributed equally. There's no debating. It's like the truth gets taught and preached, but it is never learned. Like our cooperation with God is only on our terms. It's like, if I'ma do it, then I'ma do it like this. I'ma make a graven image and I'ma show him like this. I only promote this even though this doesn't exist. This a false image, but I've taught you to believe that this is authentic. Where's the conviction when you need it, baby? It's a cold world and I've been feeling anemic lately. My fascination with the facts is what got me seeming crazy to you. And all your passive aggression, that is the proof. Pastor, why you bless the fool, please ask for humility. You can't hate my color, then call me brother, that's what be killing me. Don't believe the gospel that the clan preach, that's wickedness. You can't say it.
One thing I would like, so when he says you can't hate my color, then preach the gospel, you gotta define hate. Because here's the problem that I have with a lot of people who say things like that is, your definition of hate might not be my definition. So if I'm disagreeing with you, is that hate? Or is it that I'm doing something I don't realize I'm doing and you're taking it as me hating you because of your skin color? Because what it seems like is, if we disagree to a certain extent, a lot of people in the black community are just saying, well, that's racist. So I would really like to know, we have to define these terms. When you say you hate me because of my skin color, does that just mean I disagree with you? Or does that mean Rodney King beating you, hate like that? Because the reality is in the church, maybe there's some really underground racism, but I personally haven't seen it. But my opinion on racism is this: is that it's not a heart. I mean, it's not a thing. It's a heart problem. So racism is a sin issue to me. Maybe people don't believe that. I know I've heard people say that, the gospel was preached and that didn't cure sin. Well, maybe they didn't come to faith. Maybe that was fake, that was a false conversion. But I know in my heart that there's no way, knowing the way I know Christ now, that I could be racist in that sense. That blows my mind. So one thing I would really like to do is, if we're going to start talking about this racism issue, especially within the church, we need to define hate, because I know that the LGBTQ community says that we hate them based on disagreement. So we have to really clarify. We can't just say you hate me because of my skin color. And I know that this isn't a song, so he had to rap it in a specific way that fit the music. So that's one thing. I don't know his, I haven't really listened to too many interviews with him in it, so I don't know if he's ever, really dug into it. I'm sure he has. Same thing with Derek Minor. I know Derek Minor's gone on plenty of interviews and kind of dives deep into what he really believes. But I would like to do that. I would really like to dive deep and understand, what do you consider hate? Because if it's just disagreement, then we have an issue with that. We have to talk that out, because that means that one of us could be wrong or one of us could be right, or we can find middle ground with Christ. We submit to Christ regardless if we're right or wrong, but that middle ground is always possible too. So let's continue. I just wanted to kind of talk on that, because that's a big deal to me.
Scripting don't meet the truth, that's ridiculous. God formed man out of African dust. If that goes against your theology, I would imagine that's rough. But listen, if our prescription in the God that provides and has the power to subside the pain while killing the pride. And if we're called to read the chapters in his house, that same call come with a charge to give an accurate account. I said, if we called to read the chapters in his house, that same call come with a charge to give an accurate account. So I could have killed you, but I respect you as my king. I felt that. Dave said it's not me, but it's God who interprets these dreams. I felt that. And when the Hebrew boys say we serve God, whether we live or we die, I felt that. And when Christ looked toward the Most High, said forgive them because they blind, I felt that. Oh yeah, okay.
Cops killing and you more mad at me for saying it than the cop that killed him, and I don't get the picture. I know the children listening rather show them how to stand for truth than do a youth group and tell them jump. This is not your tap dancing Sambo type of flow. This that revolutionary, get your foot up off my throat for every ancestor raped, burned, and lynched on the tree. Pray to y'all for liberation. He said that starts with me, so I hung up in that word.
So he said this is that revolution type of spitting. So basically he's saying that we're no longer going to be quiet about these issues. My thing is, be careful with what you're saying, because here's the problem I have. If you look around, we are very, very close to the end times. And if you are promoting a divisive full world, because they are rioting in every part of the world right now, and they are protesting in every part of the world. This is unprecedented. We're not all protesting about the same things, but whether it's Russia, China, America, they're all protesting. And they're not all protesting about the exact same stuff, but there are worldwide protests going on. There's something going on biblically, and a lot of people believe we are closer than we've ever been. Of course we are, because timeline based, but we're closer than what we've ever been. And if these divisive things, this is what scares me about this talk, is we do not want to divide the church right now. I'm not saying don't fight for what you believe in, but what I'm saying is be very careful, because if we are really at the end, which I believe that we personally are, there's going to be some people that are going to be led by these different rabbit holes or groups, especially when you start blending in with the non-believers. Especially with BLM, where it's a bunch of non-believers who you begin to identify with rather than identifying with the church. That's very scary. Instead of identifying with BLM, we need to come back together and then as a church decide where we stand. Because it's not, this is a very scary deal to slowly back groups like this, when if you look into their principles and their ideas, they're anti-Christ. So I would be very careful if I was these guys, because the church might not be doing what you want them to do, and the black sect of the church might be unified in that sense of what they should do, but the whole church is not. So we got to be really careful. Like, I personally will never support Black Lives Matter. That's just me. That does not mean Black lives don't matter. I do not like their ideals. Their mission statement is awful to me. That's just what it is. I did a video yesterday or the day before, one of the two, about Jonathan Isaac, and I support that kid, and I feel so bad because he just hurt himself again. And so be praying for Jonathan Isaac, because that's a big deal. He's already had knee problems he just got off knee surgery. So he got hurt again, I think it was yesterday. So be praying for Jonathan Isaac. But let's continue. I just wanted to point that out because it's scary to me how divided the church has become over issues like this.
Praying with my feet. I learned that from Frederick Douglass. Our history more than hustling, our destiny more than selling dope and popping beans.
I agree with that. Your history is more than selling drugs.
I rap to you, change the world. I sang to you. Online I talk to you. I'm thinking you don't wanna listen. Fine. I pray for you and then reclaim my time like Maxine. That living water wash my soul clean. I got a mission. Protesters marching, cops hit them with batons and they knees. Our world in disarray. Oh, Adonai, what does it mean? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, justice and peace. Forgiveness for our souls for not holding Christ as the King. Kingdom come, kingdom come.
I love the ending of this song.
Kingdom come, kingdom come, kingdom come. Your will be done.
When David told Saul, could have killed you, but I respect you as my king. I felt. When Daniel said it's not me, but it's God who interprets these dreams, I felt this. And when the Hebrew boys said we serving God, whether we live or we die, I felt that. And when Christ looked up toward the Most High, said forgive them because they blind, I felt that.
So that was I Felt That by Eshon Burgandy featuring Derek Minor off his new album Joppa. Go cop that. First of all, Eshon Burgandy is extremely talented. He's a fantastic rapper. I've loved his stuff for a while now. I used to watch all the way back when he was doing videos for Biz. I don't know if he's done any recently, but I've always been wicked pumped about his stuff that he's done. Like I said, I reacted to Sandcastles. That's one of my favorite songs he's ever written. I love the beat for that song and the metaphors for it. So go check him out. Like, comment, subscribe. I want to hear from y'all so that I can start making music based on what you would recommend. So just let me know. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with all of these artists on their political views, but I love these guys. These guys are great. I've always listened to their music, and I'll always support them regardless. Unless, like, they stop, being about Christ, then that would be the only way I wouldn't support them, because the reality is we can disagree on minor issues. And although we see race and stuff as a huge issue, God sees it as a minor issue, because in reality, everything's small to him. So, and there will be no racism when we all get to heaven. So that doesn't matter. That sin will be gone. So we'll love each other. We will not see each other as skin color or whatever. It won't matter. And if Eshon, if you check this out, I love you, brother. I don't, no hate, no nothing. I care about you, and I'm praying for all these CHH artists that are actually sticking it out and not having a bunch of the artists that are slowly falling off, because a lot of these guys got into the CHH game to make a little bit of money, gain a little bit of fame, and then they duck, or it wasn't what they thought it was. And I'm gonna support you, bud. So I'll come out with another video pretty soon. See y'all later.